Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. My name is Nadila Cahya Putri and I will introduce myself, my friend self, Cindy Paulina, Fitri Destian, Eric Febrian, Dika Lestari, and Indriana. We are from group 5. So, this occasion we will talk the material about the theories of language, what is a language, and the theories of language learning, how language is learned.
What is language? Language is an arbitrary vocal symbol system for human communication, and language is the primary method of human communication. But there are also other ways to communicate without the use of language. When asked to define language, we then think of a verbal written system in which certain sound and symbol come together in a specific way, conveying meaning. Jadi maksudnya di sini yaitu apa itu bahasa? Bahasa adalah sistem simbol vokal arbitrary untuk komunikasi manusia. Dan bahasa adalah metode utama komunikasi manusia. Tetapi ada juga cara lain untuk berkomunikasi tanpa menggunakan bahasa. Ketika diminta untuk mendefinisikan bahasa, kita cenderung memikirkan sistem verbal dan tertulis di mana bunyi dan simbol tertentu bersatu dengan cara tertentu untuk menyampaikan sebuah makna.
Okay, the next material is theory of language. The first one, behavioral theory. The behavioral perspective states that language is a set of verbal behaviors learned through operant conditioning. Nah, maksud dari behavioral teori ini yaitu sering disebut sebagai teori pembelajaran perilaku berupa stimulus tanggapan. Hal tersebut dikarenakan if someone give a response yang telah dikondisikan terhadap suatu stimulasi, maka itu dapat dikatakan sebagai proses belajar. Stimulasi ini yaitu kegiatan yang dilakukan untuk merangsang perkembangan anak dengan melibatkan panca indera dan motoriknya. Hal ini dilakukan ada 4 ranah utama perkembangan, yaitu motorik kasar, motorik halus, bahasa atau bicara itu sendiri, dan juga personal sosial. The second is nativistic theory. Is a biologically based theory which states that language is innate, psychologically determined, and genetically transmitted. This means that a newborn baby is pre-wired for language acquisition, and a linguistic mechanism is activated by exposure to language. Yang mana maksud dari teori nativistik ini adalah menyebutkan bahwa manusia itu memperoleh bahasa secara alami atau telah ada sejak masih bayi atau sejak lahir. Yang terjadinya itu atau yang didapatkannya itu secara alamiah gitu.
Okay, the next material about theory of language is the semantic cognitive. The semantic cognitive is a perspective of language development that emphasize the interrelationship between language learning and cognition. That is the meaning conveyed by a child's productions. And the next theory about theory of language is the social pragmatic. The social pragmatic is theory consider communication as the basic function of language. This perspective is first seen in infant caregiver interactions in which the caregiver responds to an infant's sounds and gesture. That is the next theory about theory of language.
For now, I'm gonna explain about the theory of language learning. Part 1. Traditional grammar. Traditional grammar involves 2 major concepts, such as narrow and broad. A narrow concept clarifies that in the end of the 18th century, traditional grammar was invented from ancient Greece and Rome and surprisingly became admired. It governed grammar and language teaching research for a very long period in Europe. Number 2. Structuralism emphasizes the idea that language in a system that examines sounds, words, and sentence within its system. Part 3. Chomsky and Transformational Generative. Chomsky created a new theory called Transformational Generative Grammar, or TGG. It is a system of rules which, in some explicit and well-defined way, gives a structural description to sentences.
How language is learned. A. O'Malley and Samad, 1990, described language learning strategies in more detail. They classify the strategies under three main headings. The first is cognitive, applying a specific technique to a particular task, example repeating, reasoning, and analyzing. And the second is metacognitive, related to the learning process, for example, organizing, planning, and monitoring. And the third is socio-affective, involving oneself on others, for example, operating with peers and seeking clarification. A basic. This stage is all about memorization and repetition. It might be boring, but it gives us the base or the knowledge we need to move on from the first stage.
B. Context. Role plays are an excellent method to learn the language in a specific context. Learning whole phrases instead of just single words. Role plays can be used already in stage 1 while practicing very simple phrases in contexts such as in a coffee shop. Stage 2 requires a little bit of self-discipline. See expression. Stage 3 is more about coming out of one's comfort zone. Remember, the most important thing is just to communicate and not to worry about the grammar or correctness. The more we use the language, the fewer mistakes we make and the more confident we become. This is presentation from my group. I think that's all. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.